All right, let's see here. Let me set it up. There you go. There you go. Okay. All right, let me make sure everything's cool.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I see us. Let me make sure the sound's good. Let's see.
There you go.
Yeah, it's good. All right, let's see now. We got 4 people in the house. They're filling up. Laura McGraw, Susan Otteson, Phaedra Neely, Margaret Woodward,
Hello. Hello.
Francine Rodriguez, Amy Sunshine, Ryan Aguilar, my homeboy, is in the house. Margaret Woodward. All right, there you go. Play that drum a little bit. Let them fill up. Tony Woods. There we go. All right.
I gotta take my shoes off.
Take your shoes off.
Ah.
Lavia Deevy's in the house. Laurel Gill's in the house. Everyone's looking forward to the show. Hello, Three Feathers and Todd, and everyone looking forward to this show. Yeah. All right. There you go. Cricket Holden, Fran Wallace, Halima Adrazi. Welcome, everybody. Got 20 people and counting. Probably be like the last one. It just keeps going up and up and up.
Well,
Joanne,
it doesn't really matter who's live. I mean, we love it when everybody's live, but you can view it any time. So.
Oh yeah, I watched the
Good.
shows, and the last one just had a huge replay. Janie Vanima just woke up in the night. There's a reason for that. So let's roll the show out. This is going to be an ongoing thing. Diana Beaumont, Angel Divine, welcome. Todd Medina, SoulSpeaks 5D, the Soulogy Network, Connie Chrisman, how you doing? We got Three Feathers back. We're going to have a continuation of our discussion, and we're going to see where it goes. We got some subjects on the table that we left on the table.
Yeah, some stories that need to be heard.
Yeah. Let me tell my friend she just did a great show today. Say, hey, thank you. There's another great one right now. Okay. Just started. Okay. Here we go. Hello, Philippa Ramson, Mary Walton Robinson.
I want to wait till we get up to 25 viewers because my birthday's on the 25th in January, and I used to tell people, my birthday's January 25th. This is exactly a month after Jesus. so they wouldn't forget to get me something, but I always got a second chance. If I didn't get what I wanted for Christmas, I might get it for my birthday.
I think my sister is the 20. What is this? There we go. That message you sent was to me.
What's that?
The message you sent, hey everyone, Three Feathers. That's the message.
Yeah.
I got it. Nobody else got it.
Oh, nobody got it except for you. Okay.
Kimberly
well, everybody.
Duar.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how many views last time.
There you go. We got 26 now.
Oh, okay. I'm showing 24. That's all right.
This will be delayed on here. Philippa Ransom says that's her birthday too. My sister's birthday is the day before yours.
Wow. Cool. So I'm Aquarius, of course.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Aquarius is cool. I like Aquarius. Hello, Mary Lou and Mary Cooper. Yeah.
All right. So let's ground. Let's practice that grounding technique we learned last time from my teacher, Art Running Bear.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is sit up straight, our spine straight, and we're going to imagine an energy swirling around our waist. And whatever is real to you, whether it's a color, water. For my first time, I actually envisioned a huge chain and an anchor. But now it's like this blue energy.
That's what I'm seeing. Did you
Yeah?
just? Yeah, that's what I was like. I got this blue. I got this blue. It looks like one of those things you jumped in the water with when you're a little kid. You know? Yeah, the floaty thing.
Like a
No,
donut?
yeah, but I saw as soon as you said that I saw the blue. I saw this blue, and I was like, man, I'm seeing some blue like
Wow.
around me. Yeah, very
Well, we're
cool.
Blu-ray, yeah?
That's right, man.
Okay, so we're imagining an energy circling around our waist, and then we're just going to sink that into the ground, 2 feet below us, into the Earth Star Chakra, and then all the way down into the heart of Mother Earth, to the center. I'm going to turn my phone widescreen so you guys can see what I'm doing.
I think you need to turn it. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, the other way we could see better.
You
Oh no, you're
think?
good. Yeah, you're good
See,
now.
you need to be able to see my hands because you don't know
No,
what
no,
I'm
you.
doing
We
if
could
we're
see it
here.
better the other way.
You good?
Yeah, yeah, we could see it better the other way. Yeah.
Okay. On my screen, I see you huge and me tiny.
What?
Yeah. It was not like last time, or it was half and half.
Oh, oh, she just checked out on us. She'll be back. We got 39 people in the house. That's good. We need a little time to get everybody here. This is cool. She just popped out on us. For those of you who caught the last show, it was an excellent show. We're going to do this on a regular basis, and she's going to develop her own show. Something she talked about she'd wanted to be doing. Inner tube, that's right. Yeah, we can see you a lot better that way.
Really?
Yeah, you can see. We can see more of you.
Yeah, but you can't see the rest. You mean
We
I'm
can
up
see.
close?
No, we can see your hands.
You
Like,
can?
yeah, I can see all of you. I don't know
Okay,
why
so
you.
that's
I don't know why you
that.
can't see, but we can see all of you.
Okay,
Joanne
can you
Kirkendall.
see? You can see
Jo-
everybody here.
Yeah, yeah. We can just. I can see your left hand, not quite your right hand. Yeah, I
Okay.
can see both right when you did that.
Weird. So if I did it landscape, you couldn't see more. That seems
No,
odd, but okay.
no.
Well,
We're at
whatever.
the mercy of this technology.
Yeah, I'm at the mercy of a wobbly tripod, and it's
No, you're
just
good.
sitting on my table,
You're good.
trying to get it straight because you don't want to look at me crooked either. Okay,
Oh yeah,
so
we can see all
welcome,
of you. We got you
welcome.
the whole picture there, and
Okay, thank
we
you.
can actually do something else too. Let me see if I can. I'm going to make you big and me little. There we go. Now we got all of you.
You're still the same to me.
No, I'm small on the screen though.
That's so weird.
I'm in the corner of the screen while you do this.
That's what everybody's seeing. Okay, I'm still seeing it from this setup. So I see you on top, me on the bottom. You're
No, no,
currently
no.
live. Hit this for comment.
Kirkendall.
Yes.
That's right. I didn't know how to pronounce that. No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so let's start. Let's do this grounding thing again. So
All right.
we're gonna sit up straight. We're gonna imagine an energy flowing around our waist, whatever is real to you. A color, water, rope. And you're gonna sink that down into the ground, 2 feet below you, into the Earth Star chakra, and then all the way down to the center of the earth. And from here, you imagine that your spine is a straight steel rod all the way up through your crown. You can open your crown to the cosmos and know that you're directly connected with Source. Can you
Mm.
see that?
Mm.
And then from here, you can say, I wish to connect to my higher self. Please connect with me. And if you're sensitive, you should be able to feel a little bit of an expansion or a tingling when my eyes are closed. And I would do that, I would see kind of almost like a flash going like this, like I was expanding. It
Yeah.
doesn't do that anymore. I'm pretty much embodied now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to step out now. That's what I do. Put the human on the side and step out. Sometimes.
Right, right. Okay, welcome everyone. I want to tell you, thank you so much for all the love in the comments. I tried to reply to those that I could and click like at least on most of them. But as I was doing it, when I'd post a comment, it would kick me back up to the bottom, and so I'd have to keep going, scrolling page up, page up, page up, and then more people were watching and commenting, and so if I didn't get to you, I'm sorry. Thank
Yeah.
you. Ah, okay. Let's see here. What do we want to start with?
Did we want to start with the butterfly connection, which involves the
Keith,
divine?
did you see this? I did it just for you.
Let me see. Wow. Man, I want that do-rag, man.
I
Here, I'll give
was
you
like,
this one. You give me
Todd
that
wants
one.
butterflies. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah, right on. Very
Okay.
cool. Very
So
cool.
the butterfly brings medicine of transformation. And a lot like what we're going through during our waking up is we go through kind of an ego death. We go through a little bit of a death, a change. And so the caterpillar goes into a chrysalis, which is kind of like the dark night of the soul in a way. And it's completely destroyed, liquefied, I
Yeah.
believe.
Curling up in a fetal position and bawling your eyes out.
And it has no idea that it's going to become the butterfly.
Yeah.
So butterfly is all about transformation and flying free and pure beauty. And I know that it's very significant to some tribes. I believe the Hopi is very significant, the butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you about my wind chime, that 5-foot copper wind chime.
Yeah. What is that? 5 foot.
Well, it's funny. I was going to Trader Joe's one day, and I'm walking towards the door, and all of a sudden I turn left and I start walking towards this other store. I believe it was Tuesday Morning, I think it was called, or Home Goods, maybe Home Goods. I'm not sure. Anyway, and I turned and I just started walking there, and I go, why am I going here? Why am I going here? And I open the door and I walk in, and I'm like, why am I here? Why am I here? And somebody said hello to me, and I said, hi, do you have any outdoor carpets? Because I had been looking for one before. And she said, no, we're all out, but the patio stuff is over there. So I said, okay. So I start walking through there, and I'm walking through these aisles, and I'm like, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? And I'm just walking, and this man with a cart turns down the aisle, and I just immediately turned away. It was like a block, and I turned this way. And then as I was walking, there were all of these blankets, throw blankets hanging on hangers. And there was this beautiful teal color blanket. And I went like this to touch it, and my hand hit the bottom of this wind chime. There was a post, a post in the store, and the blankets were here. And I went like that and hit this thing. Clang, 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 clang. I'm like, oh! And I start to try to silence it. And then I listen, and I was like, whoa. And the whole store was like, and so
Wow.
then I started to play it, and I took the center thing and I was starting to play it one thing at a time and listening to the sound. And I was having fun. And then after a few minutes, I was like, okay, that was fun. And I turned around and I took 2 steps and just stopped in my tracks, and I went, that's why I'm here.
Right.
Right. And so I turned around, I was like, duh, right? And so I turned around and I look at it, and the price was my birth date. I'm not
Oh,
going to tell
wow.
you what year I was born. Well, we'll all figure it out anyway soon enough. Uh, and I was like, okay, well, clearly it's for me. So I bought it and hung it in the room we have. It was in this house I was renting, the one I lived in for 3 years that had to move. Had an extra room. It used to be a hot tub room, but of
Hmm.
course, when I got there, they took the hot tub out before. So it's a liability for renting or some such thing. But anyway, so it was kind of an outdoor room, all windows and a sliding glass door, and cedar was lining the walls. And I had
Wow.
this wind chime there. Now, the top of the wind chime, if you can imagine a strip of copper about an inch wide,
Yeah.
rolled up into a butterfly.
Wow.
And that's what's on the top. And that's what's hanging from the bottom. And that's what I hit. And so that's what swings, right?
All right.
And so I'd start experimenting with it. And I grabbed a stick and I wrapped it in leather so it had a softer touch and started playing it. And I noticed the second from the longest, God, I wish I had it right here to tell you, to show you.
It's okay. You're doing a good job
But
describing it. We'll get it out on another show.
yeah, the second longest chime, I noticed whenever I played that one, if I had like kind of an upset stomach or whatever, my tummy didn't feel well, I would play that, and my stomach would instantly feel fine.
Wow.
And so then I started really paying attention to the sounds and where it affected me in the body and how it affected me. And I'd have people come over and I'd play it. I'm like, where do you feel this? Where do you feel this? To see if it was the same. And so that wind chime, um, I packed up and I put in the storage unit with everything else. And then on the before I went on my journey to the Hopi, after I was putting everything, trading, it's like, okay, I need a drill, I need nails, I need, a screwdriver, I need these certain tools, I need to put back the blender, the stuff that wasn't going to make sense camping on the road, right, with the dog. And somehow there ended up being just the right amount of room and just enough the space on the back where I lift the hatch up to put that wind chime. And in the very last moment before I left, and I'm literally getting ready to leave town, so I already thought I was packed up. I was just going to get a couple things from the storage unit. And it fit right there. And I'm like, God, I really love this thing. I don't know why I'm bringing it, but I'm bringing it. And I did. And
Wow.
I didn't bring that out of the box. I didn't unpack it for several months because it's hard to even to put back.
Yeah.
I
I
need
bet.
two hands. I need somebody to hold it while we're putting it in the box properly. And so I had to create something in order to pack it up eventually. But it wasn't until I was in Santa Fe in the mountains. So it was summertime. And I got into Santa Fe in January, right after my birthday, I believe, the day after my birthday in 2016. And it was cold. And I was camping there in the back of an RV park in my 13-foot portal, 13-foot octagon portal tent, right? And it got too hot in Santa Fe, and I kept trying to leave. And people there they either say it's the land of enchantment, or the locals call it the land of entrapment.
Whoa.
Because if it doesn't want you to leave, it won't let you leave. And Kaya, my Malamute, she got sick. And I had taken her to the vet there, and they had a really good program for homeless animals. They took good care of them in Arizona. I'm sorry, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been walking, in the streets and saying, I need, people would ask me about the dog, what's wrong with her? And I said, oh, she needs to go to the vet. And they said, oh, they're really good here. They're really good. They'll take care of the dog. So I went, and I made the mistake of telling them I was coming back to Seattle. I wasn't actually a New Mexico permanent resident. And so they said, well, we'll help you a little, but you're going to have to do some fundraising. So that's when I ended up, I made a sign. I was staying at this house, some friends, the Capanellis, who had this little casita out back, and they had just such a huge soft spot for Kaya, and our situation. They're like, you can stay here in our little casita until, Kaya gets all her medicines and everything worked out, because she had to be tested, and it was like,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I want to say it was $250 just for the first test, and it was an 8-hour test, and then you have to wait for results, and then so she ended up having Cushing's disease, which basically it affects the pituitary or the adrenals, and it made her constantly thirsty, constantly hungry, constantly panting,
Mm-hmm.
tired, and then it affects the muscles. So I watched her limbs literally get thin, like lose all of the muscle one by one.
Mm-hmm.
And it affects the fur. It just completely changed the quality of her fur. And so I made this sign on a cardboard, and at the casita I was staying, she had paints. This was her art studio, and she had paints. And so I made this beautiful New Horizon, rising sun, right? And I said, homeless dog needs vet care. Woof. With the Red Cross. And so, of course, the sign's brightly colored, right? And I put 2 holes in it, and I tied my scarf around it, and so I could wear the sign while I'm walking the dog. And I never used to say I was homeless. I always said mobile,
Mobile.
but mobile dog needs vet care didn't make much sense. And I have to say, people are so very, very generous when it comes to um, our pets. And I mean, some people were handing me like $20,
Wow.
and it's like, it's wonderful, but it's also kind of heartbreaking because we don't take care of each other in that way.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Um, but so anyhow, that got me downtown Santa Fe, and got her some medicine, got her a little better. And I've got to tell you a magic story, because here's the thing. I ended up starting a GoFundMe account for her, right? And I asked for prayers, love, and light and healing, if people couldn't send money. And I swear to you, so I have to say, and you'll see it in one of the videos, I just started a YouTube channel and have a video, and you can see Kaya walks behind me, and you can see her bare legs. So she had knee surgery a few months after I had my emergency mishap surgery,
Right. Right.
right? She ended up blowing out her knee, and that was actually her good knee. I was getting ready to operate on her weak knee in 2 weeks, had it scheduled, and she blew out the good knee.
Mm.
Poor dog. So she got shaved all the way from her toes to her hip, and her fur grew back first on the scar, and then it grew back on the skinny part of her leg, but it never grew back up here on her thigh. And none of the vets we had ever seen, and every time while I was traveling, going to different vets all the time, right? And none of them could really explain why. And her skin was pink underneath.
Uh-huh.
But not long after it was bare and the fur wasn't growing back, it turned gray. Which she was black and white, right? So black and white and gray, it all matched. Or, it blended in. Because I think it was nature's way of protecting the skin from the sun, because she started to get sunburned. And so I would put coconut oil on her bare skin. Anyway, nobody could tell me what was wrong with her, why the fur wouldn't grow back, until I first got to Santa Fe. And the night manager in the motel when I arrived, he was a curandero espiritu.
Un curandero.
Curandero espiritu, which is a spiritual healer.
Yeah.
And he had dark, dark, dark brown eyes and blue circles around his eyes. He's a magical being too.
Yeah.
And so I told him, he saw the dog, and I told him the story, and I said, oh, the fur won't go back here. Nobody can tell me why. And he said, oh, they did a study on wolves some time ago, and they discovered there's something in the saliva that makes the fur grow back. And she couldn't reach up there.
Oh, I got
And I was like, oh, can I lick her?
you. Are you a wolf?
No. Right, exactly. But no, but so actually what I did is I stuck my finger in her mouth a couple times, was rubbing it on there, but it was like a huge patch. There's no way, So that didn't work. But if we had other dogs around us, they would have licked her, because they
Mhm.
do that. And when
Yeah.
they have surgery or an injury, the first thing they do is they lick that wound,
Yeah.
because it's not getting infected, they're healing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it can get infected, yes, probably, whatever, yeah. But anyway, so it got hot in Santa Fe, and the weather was finally able to, or I had her medicine, I was finally able to leave, but we were staying up in the Santa Fe mountains, Black Canyon Desert, I believe is what it was called. Because it was about 10 or 15 degrees cooler up there. And
Hmm.
I had to wait for her vet clearance and the meds. So, what was my point? Now we're talking about the dog. The
Yeah,
heat, okay, up here at the Santa Fe Mountains, that's what it is. It's the wind chime, the butterfly.
butterflies. That's
The
right.
butterfly. So this the campground up there was paved. It was asphalt, and it had this beautiful flagstone border, and it had a giant shepherd's hook, like to hang a lantern or to hang your
Yeah,
towel to dry or backpack or something. And I just kind of looked at it, and I was like, "That's where the wind chime goes." And I hung it up there, and that particular campground was completely full of hummingbirds. So many hummingbirds. And they would come to the wind chime and they would put their beaks, the curled
yeah.
copper, right? They would keep going into the butterfly over and over and over into the butterfly, both of them trying to find nectar, right? Because it
Wow.
was shiny and sparkly, so it attracted them. And so that's when I really started playing with it and really experimenting with it more deeply. And in the forest, it was pretty dang amazing, you know?
Yeah.
Um, then there's a whole nother story. Right when Kaya got her medicine, it was ready. We got clear to go, and I was like, okay, I've got to get back up to Seattle because I wanted to be up here for the whole summer, but we were delayed. You know, divine timing and all that. And I was like, okay, this is great. I'm leaving on Monday. And the next day, the car wouldn't start.
You weren't going anywhere.
No, of course. And by then I had been there 14 days in the park. They're like, you gotta move. Like my car broke down and all these campers were trying to help me. And it ended up being my fuel pump. But I had to run up the mountain like half a mile just to get a signal on my phone. And I would text a friend, car's dead, need ice, bring dog food. And he did, so I have to keep running up the mountain every so often just to get a signal and look up fuel pump because the people discovered that's what it was. Looked at the fuel pump, how to install a fuel pump. Went to town and got a fuel pump, got a ride, came up, installed it myself, 3 fuel pumps, and it still ended up only taking me, when we finally did leave, I only got 2 hours away.
And it went.
Yeah, and it
So
went.
so where do the butterflies come in?
So,
Because I can feel it coming.
okay. When I was in Standing Rock, so for those that aren't aware what Standing Rock was the North Dakota Access Pipeline in North Dakota. I believe, I think she was a youth. Jaslyn Charger was the girl that started this,
Hmm.
protesting the pipeline. And that was in April of 2015.
Yeah.
It did not end until February of 2016. There's a documentary on YouTube called the Standing Rock documentary, and I'm actually in there.
Cool.
The corner of my poncho, because what I was doing, and when people came, especially if they were going to be filming, they had to have a media tag. If they had a media tag, they also had training on what you could and could not film and who you could and could not film. And so when I was doing something, like I was working with the youth on the youth silent prayer and march, which occurred the day after treaty camp fell and 142 people were arrested. That's when the whole world,
Yeah.
right? Well, first the dog attacks, they were like, what? And so I was there working with the youth, and my job was to clear the crowd that was there supporting them. And I did that. And this is a long, in-depth story. I can also tell this; it's beautiful too. But towards the end of that, I was done, and I anchored. I was facing the sun, and I just anchored and connected. And butterfly consciousness came in, and she was there strongly at the camp. It was a time of transformation. It was going from this brutality of what happened just the day before To all the elders, the grandmothers, they're praying for the water with their sacred drums, sacred feathers, sacred teepee, mowed down, arrested, taken into dog cages in the jail.
In 2000, in the 2000 civilized year. Yeah.
This was October 12,
2016.
yeah, October
Yeah.
2016.
Because I was
Trying
headed
to,
up. I remember when that was
I want
happening.
to say it was October 28th, I believe.
Yeah.
27th, 28th. I'm
So
not
what
sure.
happened with the butterfly consciousness? Now, had
So
you ever
butterfly
had?
consciousness came, and I did this dance, just was coming through me. I was feeling the energy. And then we did the silent prayer in March, which was huge and transformative. And I know you want to get to the bottom of butterfly,
No,
so
no,
I'm
no.
just,
I'm good. I'm listening. Go ahead.
well, it's a long story, and we got to get to the grasshopper.
Hmm.
There's things. So when we returned from the march, we were all coming back, and I was coming right back Red Warrior Camp. And Red Warrior Camp were the Red Warriors. They were the ones on the front line. They were the ones that were handling security in the camp. They were angry,
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah.
And when I came towards Red Warrior Camp, I turned towards them, and immediately it was not just butterfly, but it was the divine mother. It was the sacred grandmother. It was the feminine coming to balance and cool and calm and steady the warriors, because there was so much anger at that time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. As only the mother goddess could do.
Right. And so now I'm going to skip ahead to last summer. I was staying at a beautiful friend's house, beautiful place, beautiful space. And I had my wind chime hanging outside. And again, every now and then I would play it, and the wind would play it. I never let her get wet because I didn't want it to turn green, right? And I was just, passing by it one day, and I heard Flora. My name is Flora. And so the wind chime itself has a consciousness that connects to the butterfly
Absolutely.
consciousness. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. But when she comes, when she's there, when she's here, she'll show up in the body, through my body, if I allow
Wow.
it.
That's, so you embody the
Yeah.
consciousness.
I allow it to flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her name's Flora, the
Yeah, and
moonshine.
actually that scene is in the documentary. So there was a couple of parts where I noticed they had dropped the camera and you could just see just a slight bit of my poncho. And my poncho is inside. This is bright blue and white. Aqua blue, like this color blue.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab it in a little bit because it's going to
Blue
get cool here
Kachina.
quick. Oh, yeah, yeah. See that color blue? And I bought it at night. I bought this poncho at night at the World Rhythm Festival in Seattle because it had the swirl. It had swirls, and I've always loved swirls and the swirl of creation, whether it's the Fibonacci sequence or, just
Hmm.
swirls. I love swirls. And so it was getting dark. They were throwing all the stuff back in the truck. They were loading up. The vendors were closing. And I kind of looked at it and I'm like, how much, how much, how much? And I bought it. And it wasn't even until the next day in the full light that I could see what else was on it. But the swirls, I've got to get it now. It's two swirls like this. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they shoot out like this. And
Wow.
it repeats and it shoots out. And it's the twins.
Yeah.
It's the balance, the yin and yang, the male and female.
Very cool.
Very cool. Right. So in that Standing Rock documentary, there is a time when they're showing the entire youth silent march. And when I say youth, I mean it was led by the youth. The youth are in the front carrying the sacred chanupa, the sacred pipe. Then the grandmothers and the elders. And so all coming back, and anyway, you can see me there doing the dance. She's doing the dance. She's doing
The
the work,
the
right?
butterfly consciousness.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna, since we're talking about Standing Rock, let's back up, and I left on October 25th, so that's 10/25. Isn't that funny? I just realized, so when I left for my journey to the Hopi was also October 20 something. It was Indigenous Peoples Day,
Mm-hmm.
2016.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left for Standing Rock. And again, I didn't think there was any way to go, but I was called. I had to go. But my car needed a catalytic converter. I had Kaya. I had the dog. Um, so there was no way I could go. But then Kaya got sick not long after I got back, and I had to put her down. And then all of a sudden, I was freed up that way. But still, I had the car. I couldn't. How could I go? And the universe provided, so I would get there. And when we got there, it took a day and a half, and we drove straight through, which is not how I travel, because that doesn't keep you in balance when you drive through the.
You travel 4 hours a day.
Well, I had the big dog, right? And
Oh
so
yeah,
to
yeah,
get her out, I had to unpack all that stuff, get
yeah,
her
yeah,
out, tie her up, put it all back, close the car, walk the dog, come
yeah.
back, and so it was a big ordeal. So, I mean, a couple times we did get back in the car and drive, but not normally. So to drive straight through with erratic sleep and not flat and not my normal practice, I kind of got there a little discombobulated. But when we got there, we were greeted by tribal police, and they said, "Thank you for exercising your right to speak up. Thank you for being here." And
Wow.
they welcomed us. And it was clear there's no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons when you go in the fence or you go into the gates, and they ask you. And the police asked us when we were still back on the highway, because there's so many people trying to get in. I mean,
Right.
hundreds of people coming all day, every day. That place had thousands of people come through in that time. But as when you were there, Standing Rock, Standing Rock was 5D, Todd.
Right. Right.
Standing Rock was unity consciousness. And not everybody really understood that. But when you were there, everybody was a sister or a brother.
Yeah.
Everybody was an auntie or an uncle, a grandmother and a grandfather. The elders were respected and listened to and served. And we were there for the common purpose of protecting the water.
Yeah.
And many of us were aware that we were also fulfilling a prophecy
That's right.
that was happening. And this is on Lakota Sioux territory, right? And remember what I told you about my name, Three Feathers?
Yeah.
It was the Lakota Sioux, Alex White Plume of the Lakota, who was speaking to the UN and said about the three feathers, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I knew I had a big role to play, or somewhat of a role to play
Yeah. Your part.
there while I was there, right? But there was no need to steal. There was nothing for want. Everything was provided because there were so many donations, and so many people all over the world sent not only money, but they sent, besides food, they sent anything you would need, everything and everything, from wood to clothing to everything, everything. And so anything you needed, all you had to do was ask, and it was there. And so it was a very beautiful, beautiful place. And after I was only there I think we had only been there a couple of days. And we were camping and sharing a fire pit with a couple of photographers, a journalist and photographer from New York. And then there was 4 in our party. There was 2 that we met up with there. And we all had breakfast and made this fire one morning and had our breakfast. And then everybody went off, the journalists and uh, the tarpy builders. And I stayed behind to make sure the fire would go out. And so I'm sitting here and I'm just kind of like spreading the logs away and the ashes, and right out of the ashes jumps a grasshopper and lands right in front of me. And I went, "Oh, you made it." That's the first thing I said. "You made it." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And it pivoted a little and I could see it only had one leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, "Oh my God." And I reached down and I kind of like just barely stroked it a little bit and I didn't release its spirit.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when an animal passes or a person, sometimes you can help guide the spirit, release the spirit. It's a way of honoring the spirit. Um, Magical story was a robin that I came across, and that has significance. Robin that I came across that had just died. I mean, it was still pliable. You know, it was
Mm-hmm.
almost still warm,
Mm-hmm.
and I released. And I called my friend. I just found a robin. What do I do? Another shaman practitioner, and he said you need to release its spirit. And so I did. Anyway, back to the grasshopper. The grasshopper came out, jumped out, and um, I put my hand down, and she managed to get up onto my glove. And I was just sitting there like staring at this grasshopper going, "Oh my God, oh my God." And so I started going all around the camp trying to find an elder that could tell me the medicine the grasshopper brings. What does it mean? What does it mean? And I'd find somebody. I said, "Look at this grasshopper. It jumped out of the fire. It literally jumped out of the ashes. It has one leg, the left leg. The left side of the body
Mm-hmm.
signifies the divine feminine."
Yeah.
And she was standing strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't find anybody. So I went back to my tent, and I have this abalone shell for smudging with sage, and I had it wrapped in a red cloth. And I took some grass and I put it on there, and I got the grasshopper onto this cloth there where she could kind of hide a little bit. And I was going to put it outside because I had to leave, and I was going to volunteer with the medical camp, the medical team in Rosebud Camp. And so I put her in there, and immediately she did this. She cleaned off her eye, and she cleaned off the other one. And so she was starting to clean the ashes off of herself,
Wow.
right? And so I put her right outside the tent, kind of covered a little bit with things in case she needed to go out and find food. I figured she'd be gone, and I was gone for about 5 hours because I was filming the elders in the tent, in the medical tent that needed what they needed, donation wise,
Yeah.
and sending these videos out. And by the time I got back, I noticed she was still there and just completely clean and shiny clean. And so I brought her inside and I was talking to her, telling her about my day, and I was getting ready to go because I was going to go to the sacred fire that night and ask about this medicine of the grasshopper. And so I did. I went, and they had the drumming, constant drumming, singing constantly the whole time, almost all night. If there was a ceremony, it would be all night.
Right.
That's what people say they miss the most from Standing Rock. It's the drumming. You can fall asleep to that. It's very healing. And so at the sacred fire, so again, I had to walk all the way down Rosebud Camp, all the way across the bridge, crossing the river there. The river, the water we were protecting. And then main camp, Ochete Chacoen, was right here. And the sacred fire was there. And so I went to the sacred fire, and they're drumming and playing, and I see this woman in a white coat with a big white hood and fur, and just white. It's very stands out compared to everybody else. And we're like all singing or listening or you know. And I turned to her and I started telling her about this grasshopper, and I said, "I really wish I could find an elder that could tell me about grasshopper medicine." And she said, "Well, you should ask my dad." And I go, "Who's your dad?" She goes, "He's the chief right over there." And I was like, "Okay." And it's funny because before I packed up, because I pack up my backpack and I've got water, I've got my teacup, I've got a bowl, I've got a dish, a spoon, a fork, because you're carrying your own to eat, drink, whatever. And I had packed up a cedar bundle that I had brought from Seattle. I brought a few cedar bundles with me to offer for smudging as gifts. And I had stuck that in my backpack, but I didn't really know why. And when I met him, she goes, "Go ask my father." And so I met him, and I was asking him, and he's a Navajo chief, Chief Gene Curley, beautiful man. And he's got, all of this stuff. And I tell him about this grasshopper, and I said, "What does it mean?" And he goes, "Well, what does it mean to you?" And I said, "Well, it's clear." I said, it's the sacred feminine. It's the divine feminine standing strong, rising from the ashes and standing strong. Here to make huge leaps and bounds. And when he did this, when he said, "What does it mean to you?" He put his hand out like this.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody walked by and just put some tobacco in his hand. Just a pinch of tobacco. And he goes, "What's this for?" As if he didn't know, but he goes, "What's that for?" And I said, "It's tobacco. It's to make a prayer." You know, And then I told him that, and he grabbed my hand, or he grabbed me by the wrist, and he goes, "Come with me." And he takes me to the sacred fire. And there's people sitting around. And he goes, "Make way for me." And I said, excuse me, grandfather needs to get through." And they part. And another row, excuse me, grandfather needs to get through." And they would part. And he goes, "Come kneel with me." And so we kneel at the sacred fire. And he said, "I want you to do what I do." And out of his pocket, he pulls an arrowhead. I want to say it was black quartz, black smoky quartz, or obsidian. Probably obsidian. It was an arrowhead, yeah? About that big. Yeah, about that big.
Wow.
And he pulls it out, and he's doing this sacred whatever, and he's saying the words. And then he gives it to me, and he tells me how to hold it and how to move it. And he said, "Pray for yourself." And so I did, and I'm just like crying, right, as this is happening. And then we're done, and everybody around is just like, "What's happening?" And him and his family ended up giving me a ride back to the camp because I had injured my foot or something. And I wasn't able to look up because I had no signal, and I still wasn't able to look up grasshopper medicine for a while. And so I did when I finally got back to Bismarck. And I've got to say, I was at Standing Rock for 7 weeks
Wow.
and 3 showers.
Well, that's normal for you, isn't
No,
it?
no, it's not. I mean, even if you're traveling and you're on the road, you can shower at a
I
community
know.
center, at the
I'm I'm
RV
I'm
park.
I'm
Right.
kidding. It's normal for me, not you. I'm joking. I want to tell you something that's significant as I'm led to right now. I
Okay.
did a show today with Mayor Cromwell, who's very connected to Mother Earth. Has done a lot of stuff, written some books and such. It was a very good show. And I just realized this in October of 2016, which is the same time period.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, she initiated with many other goddesses the 1,000 goddesses gathering uh, at what is it called, Monument Park, where MLK gave his speech over there. I forget that, whatever it is. So
Right.
and part of the reason she came on today was because and we're gonna assist and support um, the one that they didn't do one last year, but they're doing one this year, October 20th. And this is all coming from channel transmissions from Mother Goddess and Mother Earth. But my point is that it
I
was a
have
very,
some intel,
there you
but
there you go.
yeah,
But,
but go
but
on.
my point is that it was a very prominent, energetic, as this one will be, um, impact of the divine Mother Goddess, the divine feminine, which listening to your story was very
Oh,
prominent. It makes sense. Was very prominent at Standing Rock, especially during that month that you're speaking of. So I just wanted to share that with everybody because there's no coincidences.
right, 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 right. Um, Standing Rock was very powerful for me in many, many ways, but I think it was eye opening for a lot of people in many, many ways to see how how supremely the grandmothers are honored there.
Yeah,
And I like to say grandmother. And whenever I write it in capitals, grandmother.
yeah,
Because truly, it's the grandmother. If you can imagine a family having dinner, the grandmother sees who needs more wine, who needs more food, the baby needs to be changed, the dog needs to be fed. She hears the conversation, she knows all the goings on.
yeah.
And one thing that a lot of people don't know, many in this group may know, but the United States Constitution was largely based on the Iroquois
That's right.
Confederacy.
Yeah,
And they left out one they left out some things, but they left out one very critical clause, which was if there was a leader that was not fulfilling his duty and doing good by the people, the grandmother's council could remove that leader.
yeah,
And that's pretty huge, I
yeah.
think, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So we're talking about October real quick. October Intel. One of the wake up thoughts I call them. Did I talk about the wake up thoughts the other day?
No,
I've been getting those for a while. Yes, I did because I received names sometimes,
that's
and
right. That's right. Yeah,
my twin's name and the number
that's
111,
right.
which was hugely significant.
So what'd you get for October's intel?
I received wait until we enter 1016 dot dot dot. The whole world is going to shift.
Yeah,
And I heard you talking, you were asking, was watching one of your videos earlier today, talking about September, of course, the conclusions and beginnings, and how the shift is actually, it's happening right now.
yeah,
And so it was wait until we enter 1016. And it's funny because I thought first that that was a date, which it could be, but I have been seeing the numbers 1016. And so I've learned also that when you see these, they're codes, they're activations,
yeah.
we're at certain times and cycles. And I've been seeing 1016 for quite a while now. So we might be in it. The whole world is going to wake up.
I think so. And I think there's some significance too to the other show we did earlier with Stephen Obey, uh, and he was talking about the lunar calendar, and
Hmm.
as opposed to the Gregorian calendar, and he was talking about how when
I
the
would
one,
love to see that shift back. I
yeah,
would
well,
love to
that's what
see
he
it
was
shifted
talking
back.
about. He was talking about
Hmm.
how the lunar calendar, which is matriarchal and is still utilized to this day, of course, covertly by the military, by the institutions, by the Vatican, and such. They put the Gregorian patriarchal, you know, uh, masculine energy out there with the Gregorian calendar, but they for themselves because they held in secret the esoteric knowledge. But it all goes back to the indigenous and what you're talking about, even like with the Iroquois, these were matriarchal societies. And he's basically talking about how we're integrating, how we can actually integrate and utilize both, but we cannot exclude, the goddess anymore. I think it's significant too, 1016, because this goddess gathering, which is also going to be this time a little bit different, where that was a local gathering. This is actually, she's been instructed through transmission by the mother goddess to create a grid of satellite ceremonies while they conduct this one in Washington D.C., which we of course know is a very dense area. And so, even on the show, one of our friends in Sydney said, I'll do it in Sydney. And so there's going to be a grid set up around the earth to complete the activation of the Mother Goddess grid. And so that's 1020, and you're talking 1016. I mean, this thing's moving. It's moving.
Yes, yes. Well, and what the planet is going through, all of this purging that we're doing, the macro reflects the micro,
Yeah,
micro reflects the macro, right?
yeah,
So as we're doing this purging, and that's been a huge part of my work, and I work a lot with ancestral trauma and cellular trauma, and I can explain how the ancestral trauma is carried in the cells and how it's possible to release that
yeah,
and my
absolutely.
experience with that. And so you do clear timelines back
Absolutely.
and forward,
Absolutely. Uh,
right?
Morgan walked me through when I told you on the 27th with that red blood moon. That's when I surrendered totally. I thought I was already surrendered. I didn't know I was still resisting. And then the mother goddess came in and said, okay, boy. So I was on my knees and I told that story. But
Well,
it
that's
was
part of
right.
this. That's part of two things. First is the balance of the feminine. Yes,
Yeah.
is needed to come. Um, I believe it was the Dalai Lama that said that the change will come from the Western woman,
Yes, he did. Yeah.
and of course the balance between the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah. And
But
that's what,
the in the twin journey, it seems like for most, from my experience and from what I have seen and researched, that many times it's the feminine, the divine feminine, that wakes up first. Whether it's in a male body or a female body, it's
yeah,
the feminine that seems to have a closer connection to to the spirit realm, or,
no doubt.
you
No
know.
doubt. No
And
doubt.
so it's very hard, also in this partnership and in this paradigm, for for the men to let the women lead.
And that's what he
And
talked about today. And that's what was so fascinating. He talked about like picture like a scale, you know, and how it's been, obviously out of whack. And he said it's not a matter of eradicating, that masculine. It's just a matter of them stepping some of their weight off of it. And you're very right about this. And that's what I was getting at. It's
I
too
love the things that you and Morgan both have been writing about the divine feminine and masculine,
well.
and that's why I promoted it on my page.
Yeah, well, and I'm telling you, that's a really, and for me, being a micro aspect of the macro, when I hit my knees, I mean, this was a time when, Morgan we'd been together here. We had the divine ceremony. She gets on a plane. She's headed back home to Australia, and I go to Houston. And on the plane, she received, you need to step back from him. He needs to go through something on his own, and you can't do it for him. And again, this is a collective being played out in this, energy of this couple, and that's what happened. So I gave it up. But what I wanted to tell you about the ancestral thing was, and I thought after all this time and all these dark nights of the soul, I'm blowing through this stuff, and I'm in this hotel room. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I said, I felt something coming, right? So I called her up, and I'm like, now, do you something's coming? Do you want to hold space for me? Because she's normally right there, always holding space for me,
Hmm.
And I said, I don't know what's going to happen. It turns out I had come out of this lucid dream. And in this lucid dream, I went into this, there was a building that I didn't want to go into. So as soon as I went into, I closed my eyes and I said, look, I'm going to go into the building. It's scary, right? I go into the building and I see my grandfather taking a little boy down the hall, and I see my uncle in this other room, and I see these, and it was all about sexual molestation and the suppression or whatever of the sexual energy. And it was ancestral, and it was like, whoa. I mean, it was like just epic transformation, but it was not mine. And from that, of course, with the guidance of the feminine, I was able to get through that. And what you're saying is so true. This is where we're at now, and this is where I'm excited because there's more and more and more men stepping up and saying, "Yeah, it is time to lead." And the last thing I'll say is, she told me this months ago. She said it's going to look strange, even in our relationship, but even at the collective level, that she has to lead for a while, that she has to take, she has to take the lead because you're right. They are more connected. They did wake up first, and all the evidence is out there in the Lightworker circles. But I'm seeing real progress over the last 2, 3 months with this energy and with your forecast and other forecasts and these things that are happening, such as this goddess event. I think we're getting somewhere. We're starting to make some serious headway into this thing.
Yeah, what's interesting that I've noticed, and it happened from what I could see, it was happening quickly. The Me Too campaign blew up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And not long after that, there was a space for this, but not long after that, it was the talk of the wounded masculine and
that's right.
the wholehearted masculine and
Yeah, yeah,
mankind project, things like that. I mean,
yeah.
those are just exploding, and it's beautiful to see and beautiful to witness. And like we've been talking about, the bigger picture with the divine feminine and the divine masculine coming together in balance, represented through however many twins are here to do that and coming into union to do that. We are faced with some particularly deep
Mhm.
challenges and woundings, and that's why they call us the descended masters.
We're the ground crew. And I got to tell you something too, because this is, and I for months would tell her, I want to help the men, but I didn't know how. And I realized now after I did that video on August 31st, before we hit, where I was crying on the back porch and all that, which I was told to do, which I was moved to do, which I didn't want to do. But you and I both know, and everybody knows, you can't argue with the mother goddess. You just do what you're supposed to do. But there's been two videos that I've done out of probably about 3,000. Okay, whether they were live or recorded and uploaded. And I'm glad you brought this up because it was a real tipping point for me. So it was when that Me Too movement started, and I was in Connecticut, and I was at a friend's house. There's snow on the ground outside, and I'm sitting on her couch, and all of a sudden I have this memory, smell, sensations of the body of molestation, right? And it was just like what happened here on the porch when that energy came through. I just said, I got to go do a video. So I went on a live, and I didn't even have everything coming in. I was actually doing it on the live. So a lot like this one I did the other day, about 15,000 people jump into it. But again, it was the energy, it was the expression of the masculine on his knees, basically, and just saying, WTF, what the hell's going on here? And that's where I see the effectiveness and the work of the feminine energy, which was the nurturing and the holding space, has started to become something that, because it's all about trust. Love is trust, and trust is truth. And you know what I mean? And the masculine I see is starting to say, okay, I surrender, I surrender. Because we cannot hold on to one iota. It's that 13 grandmother veto that they
Yeah,
can exercise at any at any point, because without her there is no creation.
right.
But there is no creator masculine to create anything, because he's not even here without her. You know what I mean? So it's a
Right.
big pill for these masculine to swallow, but I do believe that we've made some progress because of the work
Well,
that I've done.
I think it was really amazing the way that you hit the nail on the head when, in your post about the feminine and the masculine, I think it was the Dance of the Divine. Is that what
Yeah,
it was called? Where you said that the men had been given a false
yeah,
sense of superiority or a false higher position, and
that's right.
they've been duped that way
Yeah,
too as to the
yeah,
truth of who they are, and that
yeah.
that really helped. So I've got to tell you, as an example of how difficult it is to overcome, excuse me, overcome something like that is, for me, my representation of the masculine, of course, first one was my father.
Yeah.
And I was afraid of him.
Yeah.
He didn't hurt me, or I mean, I got spanked and I got whipped with a belt type of deal, and my brother and I did when we were in trouble, and
Yeah.
there's a whole kind of trauma, I'm sure, with that. But so I feared the masculine. And then my very first sexual experience, I was raped when I was 13 by a 15-year-old. So it's been very hard for me to go all the way and figure out. And then when I got divorced, I just didn't want to really have anything to do with men, and I tried really hard to be gay. But and
Okay.
actually,
Oh.
meeting my divine masculine
Mm.
is what made me look again.
Oh
And
my God.
it actually made me look at myself as a masculine. This is before I knew he was my twin. It was just that all of a sudden, okay, I might consider dating a guy again, you know? But all of a sudden, I would look at myself, out of the shower without makeup on. I would flatten my chest and look at myself as a man.
Yeah.
And I would see myself as a man.
Well,
And it's interesting because in all those past lives and that I saw in the mirror, and I saw myself as male, female over and over, and as a warrior. Forgot to mention war paint,
mhm.
feathers, you know, and I knew that I had been a native warrior before.
You know,
There's also female warriors too.
yeah, that Stephen Obey today was talking about, and I want to go back to what you said about being scared, okay? Because something just came in. I'm probably gonna start crying, but
Mm.
Stephen O. Stephen Obey has been out there for 15 years serving the goddess, and he talked about what we're moving into, which is simple things such as when you're, and I'm thinking right now about Morgan and I, on a personal level. Uh, just the energy. A man is direct. The phalanx is pointed and direct. The woman is the ankh and so on, and the receptor.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how three things. One, which Morgan introduced me to. You guys carry this sacred wisdom, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just following directions. In terms of sacred sex, putting your hands on her, honoring her as the Mother Universe, and the last place you ever go is the breast or the yoni or her butt. You know what I mean? It's honoring all of it in the portals and the information and the art and the akashic that her body contains. He talked about how when you have a conversation with a divine feminine, you sit in a chair and she stands. He talked about when you get into the
Mm.
sacred sexual aspect, the importance of her being on top, that the whole conditioning of everything and the power and the force of the false masculine has done a number, like you said, duped us all. And that's what I wanted to say to you, because I realize now in my relationship with her, with my four daughters, with the feminine energies of my life, that there was a built-in fear mechanism there. And so I have a loud voice, and I've softened up quite a bit with her guidance and working with me. But even if a man, like I would say, hey, I'm not being loud, I'm not being threatening, but my voice would carry, my passion would come through as a force,
Mm.
and there was a built-in a receptor antenna that they perceived to be as something to be frightened of. And I'm just realizing over the last 24 hours that there's no fault there, but we have to, as men, come off and not run to this point and say, "Hey, I didn't mean that," So I didn't mean that. I don't know what your problem is. We have to understand that this stuff goes back into, like you were talking about, the cellular and the ancestral, and uh, and to be consciously aware of that, because it is not about right and wrong. It is not about that. It's about being conscious of who we truly are and where we've been, and having the honor and respect and reverence for the situation. And in this moment, uh, this is allowing space and the power to be handed off to her. And that's just the way I see it.
Good. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. It's a lot of overcoming, and the sacred sexuality is a huge part of it, I believe. Um, it's a beautiful thing that's happening now, and so many twins are coming into union. And I wonder if anybody tried that Om 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 Home
I'm gonna try it.
mantra.
I haven't forgot it. That's
Yeah,
we can do that before we get off.
that might
We've,
get your mantra here quicker, or your passport quicker.
I'm not
Om
even.
Om Om Home.
I'm not even. I'm in such a state right this moment, this whole day with Stephen, and then with Mayor, and then with other stuff happening. Yesterday, the day at 24 hours after we did our show, I was in communion, and I stood there. I stood and I separated my human, and I said, I need to have a talk. And so all the aspects pop up here. And I said, I need to talk to Mother Goddess. I'm going to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I laid my truth out. It's just me and the universe. And I laid my truth out and I said, here's the deal. And and I'm telling you, since that moment, it's just been one activation after another. You know, it's just been. And today I did two shows and I went down three times, and each time it was her force pulling me down. You got activated, lay down. I'm gonna give you some more, get some rest. And I wake up and I'm like, whoa, what happened? I just went through a vortex. It's real. She's back. And this is what this is what this network supports. It's her voice. And like he said today, what Stephen said today, he said the man, and you're I don't believe I'm fully doing it, but he said you are an example because when she speaks, she has the talking stick. You say nothing, and it's taken me a long time to understand that. But that's the truth. She needs to speak and she needs to lead, and the power needs to be handed over to her. And that may be a temporary thing until we get to the full integration of a natural nature of our equilibrium. But it's an amazing thing. I just wish that everybody would understand. And I've struggled with this for a long time, trying to get the message out to men and to women even to understand that we came from two different places, and we've got to stop taking things personally because we all went through the hell. And it's time to recognize where we're at. It could be,
And unite,
yeah,
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 and help each other and lift each other up. That's
yeah,
why we're here,
yeah.
right?
Thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah. And I have something I want to share with you. Hang on a second.
Yeah, because I thought you were gonna. Okay, what you got there?
Oh, these the string for the earbuds I keep tripping up on.
Oh, I thought that was a.
And so I keep knocking my thing over. Okay. I was gifted this in Standing Rock, and I apologize to the person for forgetting who exactly it was that gave it to me. But can you see that?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Oh, it's $1.
Uh huh.
How did they make those little things in the middle? One,
So
two,
it's
three.
origami. It's folded. But
Okay.
do you see there's 1111? There's also eight little hearts.
Yeah, I saw that.
Each, or one, two, three, four hearts and eight little pieces. And on the back is also 1111,
Wow.
right? And so this
Wow.
is this is a love donation. That's
Yeah.
what this was. And so somebody gave me this in exchange for a healing or
Wow.
something like that.
That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Isn't
That's
that
very cool.
beautiful? And so that looking at it as love donations as an energy until we don't no longer need to use it, it helps. It helps for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
So
energy, man.
when we're talking about activations, one thing I want to bring up, and I was telling the story last night or Thursday about how my hands started, right?
Wait.
Meditating like
1 second. They're saying we're having an echo, or it might just be the one person. But let me just. I don't hear an echo. Do you hear an echo?
I don't hear an echo.
Uh, no, it's not echoing. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, so the hands activating, and then I would be in a meditation, and I would come out of a meditation, and my hands would be in a certain position,
Yeah, that's right.
And then I told my yoga teacher, and she said, "Let it happen." And so that eventually progressed into different movements. And this is one of the movements I was actually guided to teach children, um, was to, make a heart with your hands like this and open your heart. Just to teach them to open their heart and then to come back kind of like an infinity symbol. Can you see the infinity here, right? Basically. And I was just doing this, and I noticed even now, you could try this, Todd. Try this, Todd. Basically, make a heart.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, try this, okay?
Like
Just
this?
make a
Oh,
both
like
all your
this.
hands,
Okay.
right? Make a heart,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna open your heart,
Yeah.
and you come back around. And you make another heart, kind of
Okay.
not too concentrated, and you just come back around.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Yeah. So drop your elbows down next to your body,
All right.
and just hold
Make
your
a
hands
heart.
right here. Yeah, and you
All
just
right.
open your heart and clear.
Open
So
your heart and clear.
yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be so big. It could
Yeah.
just be like this right in front of the
Yeah.
heart center.
Yeah.
And basically it starts to clear the heart center.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Ah. And so like
Oh,
that's
yeah. I
that's
needed
one of
that.
the things that would
I'm over
come.
here looking at an 1111. What the hell's going on here?
There's an activation.
Oh, my
So
God.
another thing is so my hands would start to move, right? And they would just do and move all over the place, and it's in my aura. And I met a man under a bridge in Moab, Utah.
Moab. I've been there, man. With
Moab,
the
Utah.
red canyon, like the red buttes up here. I spent the
Yeah,
night
yeah.
up there with Morgan, man.
Yeah,
Moab.
fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
so I've gone for a walk. It's night. Of course, I've got the massive dog with me, so
It's
I
hot as hell
again
too, isn't it?
have no fear. No, this was in January.
Oh,
This
okay.
was I spent in a motel by myself.
Yeah.
That was my birthday.
Uh-oh. Your voice is gone. Your voice is gone. Yeah, I think you pulled it out. Can you can you it went out and then oh, she went out altogether. She's coming back. We still got another 40 minutes. We're going to have her back on a regular basis. We're going to support her doing her own show. I don't know if y'all caught it last week. She was talking about she was being moved to basically start broadcasting and develop her own thing. And I said, well, that's what we're going to do then. We'll support you to do that.
Okay, so I got to tell you,
We
for
got you.
some reason, I didn't even have it open on my phone. A song just started playing from the very beginning. It just by itself.
Wait a second. My friend Amanda, I don't know who it was, said today they put a post out. Somebody that's always right there said that this and this and this numbers, these certain numbers and this and that, but that the transmission she got was that these songs would be coming on and the words would have coding and meaning. So what song was it? What song was just playing?
Get Low.
Get low.
It's called Get Low.
Get low.
Yeah, I don't know why it was playing. It's a deep bass song, and before my speakers blew in my car, it was great.
Get low. Get low.
Um, but that's never happened before, and so she was saying that we're technological glitches. It's like
She
Mercury's
was
not in retrograde. What's
I-
up?
I'll find it. No, it wasn't glitches. It was she gets I think it
Oh,
was Amanda.
messages,
Yeah,
messages.
it was a high level intel and she was saying and I can't remember because I read, I go through this stuff quick. But
Yes, yes, I received because I will also receive a song
yeah,
out of nowhere. I'll hear lyrics,
yeah.
and I know it's coming from guidance or
Yeah.
my twin, and
That's what
but I,
Morgan does. Morgan will be like, so she'll say, and then she'll call her daughter up and say, "What song is this?" and I've seen her do it many times. But Amanda, I think it was Amanda, wrote today about something she just got in. It wasn't a big post, and she said there's going to be songs coming on, and this was collective. In our personal experience that would have code and meaning. So I don't know. I'm just passing on the information, trying to connect the dots. Keep going.
Well, one of the other wake up thoughts, as I call them, that I had was, in fact, do I have this close by?
Are we talking R. Kelly, Ludacris, or T Pain?
Get low.
Yeah. Go low.
Um,
Is it get low or go low?
get low.
Oh, get low. I just want to. Now you got my interest. Piqued my interest. Get low. Little John.
I can't even think of any of the words right now. But talking about songs speaking to you,
Mhm.
one of the wake up thoughts that I had was, and this was recent. This was like, oh, good, here it is. This was July 29th. Is that the blood moon?
July 27th was a blood
Oh,
moon.
okay. So this is July 29th. Welcome to the agents, and it was ancients of every mankind.
Mm.
So it was two agents and ancients of every mankind. Welcome to the agents of every mankind. You got to have faith. That's George Michael's song. You got to have faith.
Gotta
That's the
have
song that
faith.
played. You got to have faith. So
Mm.
the ancients of every mankind. So meaning the ancestors, right?
Yeah.
No,
Welcome.
the ancients are the ones before us.
The ancients, like as in like they talk about the ancient builder race, the ancients.
Yeah.
Um, I always received it as
And the same day, 729, the other thought was wait till we enter 1016. The whole world is going to shift. So
man. I
this
tell
is
you what,
very recent. That was yeah, that was right after the blood moon eclipse, right?
right on.
Yeah, many shifts. I'm excited.
I'm real excited, and we were going into 9/9. I mean, it's already 9/9 down under and in New Zealand. Uh, that's that's going to be. I would think it is. I'm not one of those people like you, but I would imagine it with the 9/9. It's some kind of gateway. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. It's always a good thing. Well, 99 is an end completion.
Yeah.
Another direction was to stay in a state of grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just made a YouTube channel.
You
And
did.
yeah, except I'm not ready really with videos, but you have to post two videos
Well, I've
in
got two
order
for you.
for it to even show up.
I got two for you. I got this one and the other one. I already uploaded the other one on my YouTube, and
Right.
I have a copy for you. Uh,
That's awesome. Well, I just started it, and it's called um, so I'm three feathers, twin flame. So it's TF. So the
yeah,
channel is called TF three feathers, twin flame. So
right
I've
on.
got two videos up there, and one is of a beautiful horse called Viento, which means wind, excuse me,
Viento.
and it's a video of when Kaya, my beautiful wolf sister, met Viento, this horse, and he's running alongside the car. It's just a beautiful video.
Wow.
You've got
So
to
you
see
already
that.
have two videos. Good.
Yeah. And the other one, this was my point. The other one I put up was just a short little 2 minute. Actually, it's 2 minutes and 22 seconds, the video.
There you go.
Go figure, that's what it turned out to be. And I tried to get my son to edit it for me, but he couldn't get it done or it didn't work. But anyway, so it's a easy tip on combating anxiety and chaos. It's kind of like a little prescription, and pretty much it's to get your head on the ground because we never get our head on the ground. Yet when something catastrophic happens, the first thing
Uh-oh.
you do is you fall to the ground. Did I freeze?
If you can hear me, go out and come back in.
Ah,
Yeah. So she's got a new YouTube. That's cool. And here she comes. She'll come back in a second. Appreciate you guys' patience. We haven't been having too many glitches. Starting to settle down a little bit. Lorraine Schroeder, 1016. Here she comes. Here she comes. You're back.
Okay.
Man, I'm feeling we need to move into some I never do this on the show.
What?
People that come on will want to well, I'll ask them, do you want to do light language? Do you want to do a healing or a prayer? I I never really, but I'm feeling like we're supposed to do some type I'm just following the guidance here, but we're supposed to do some type of I don't know. I'm just feeling this indigenous, um, soil from the soil up, elemental up. I mean,
Gosh, you're so on cue. My body is doing it.
yeah, just where we, and I got to tell you, I told you we have all these coincidences. One of them includes my family lineage from Spain. You had mentioned Spain, and I never even told you that. But
Yes, and I have to tell you why my heritage is considered big medicine.
yeah,
I have to so okay, so I'm going to tell you the story. So my mother is from Spain,
what part?
Madrid.
Okay.
So she came to the United States when she was 16 years old. And 9 years before, she had three brothers. I'm sorry, three sisters, two sisters. So there was three girls and a brother. Her father, after the Spanish Civil War, could not find work. He was a carpenter. He came to the United States on a 2-year visa, and he was a sheep herder in Northern California. And he would send money back to Spain for the family. And after that visa was up, he ended up somehow going to Reno. He applied for citizenship, got a citizenship. He moved to Reno, Nevada, and worked as a maintenance man at Harrah's Casino. And he was in the United States for 9 years, sending letters and gifts and money back home to support my grandmother and her three children. And during that time, one of the youngest sister died.
Mm.
Wait, was it the youngest or was it before my mother? See, this is like from an old photograph, and I don't even have the photograph anymore.
That's a great
So,
story.
yeah, so after 9 years, this is funny. After 9 years, they were able to get on a boat and come to Ellis Island, to
Wow.
the United States. And so they had to leave their home country. They all came. And this is a funny story. They were in the train station in New York, and they went to a restaurant, and nobody spoke English. None of them spoke English except for my mother did take English in school, but she learned things. They gave them a menu, right, on what to order, and she had learned things like meat and bread, not
Mm-hmm.
toast and filet,
Mm-hmm.
right? So she's trying to
Yeah.
read the menu, and the whole family's waiting, and she sees tortilla, and she goes, "Oh, tortilla, tortilla! That's what we want. 4 tortillas."
What did they give her?
Four tortillas. And the waitress is like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, that's what we want." She's like, "Okay." And in Spain, a tortilla, the original tortilla, is very much like a quiche. It's made with eggs and potato and
Oh, I didn't
garlic
know that.
and chorito, and it's filling. And they have it in many restaurants, many bars all over Spain. You go get tapas, which are
Tapas. Yeah.
appetizers, right? And
Yeah.
tortilla is usually always one. And so she's like, "Yeah, 4 tortillas." And then here comes the waitress with 4 flour tortillas on the
Yeah. Which I'm
plate.
surprised they even had them there.
And she's like, "This is not what we wanted." Well, this is
Hmm.
1965, and it was New York, and so there was Puerto Ricans, and there's,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
still a big mix of people there in New York.
Yeah.
So that's the immigration story there.
Mm.
But so I was raised with flamenco, which is the dance of Spain, which is the gypsy dance of Spain. And I'll tell you, so my family, whenever we had family parties, they were a lot of dancing
Oh,
and singing and
lost you
guitar
again.
playing.
We
And
lost you again. Go out and come back in. Yeah. It's energetic. It's energetic. Let's stabilize it. Okay. I got to tell you. You there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We got about we got about 15 minutes because I've got to do something with Shakina Rose for tomorrow's show. I got to do some tests and stuff with the broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
Um,
wanted to go 2 hours, but well,
well,
that's almost
that's
2 hours.
almost 2 hours. Where did I freeze up at?
Well, you're talking about the flamenco dance.
The flamenco. Okay. So that's kind of a resistance dance, and very much from the caves, from the cave dwellers, the gypsies of Spain back in the day. And the first time I went to Spain, the only time I've been to Spain was in 1993, and I went with my mother, who hadn't been back since she was a teenager. And when I first saw flamenco performed there in Spain, I cried because it was like in my blood. I could
Yeah,
feel it. And when I saw a performance in a cave, it was as if it was a past life type of deal thing. It's in the blood. And anyway, so I was raised with this colonial patriarchal um, superior mindset.
yeah, yeah.
And it wasn't until when I started to wake up, I saw online Columbus's journals, which are in the Smithsonian. And Columbus is very revered in Spain. And when I went to Spain and I was in Barcelona and I met my great aunts there, and we're walking along the uh, the, the port there, there's this huge statue, way, 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 way up. And I said, "Who's that?" And my aunt said, "Colon, Colon, it's Colon." And I turned to my mom, "Who's Colon?" And she said, "Columbus, idiot."
Yeah. I thought it meant ass. Oh, that's
No,
cola. No,
that's culo. We don't
I
say
keep
that. That's
losing you. They say
pride.
it's me. Let me see if I can fix it.
Okay,
Let
so
me
I'll
see if
keep
I can
talking.
fix it.
So
You're good. They're
okay.
saying that you're
So
going, and I'm just not able. You're freezing up for me. So stay right
so
there.
I saw
Keep going.
Christopher Columbus's journals where he had talked about the price per head on the native people. And this just stopped me in my tracks. I don't know if you got that, Todd.
I heard you say about the native people. What'd you say?
So saw online
Yeah, yeah,
pictures of
yeah.
Christopher Columbus's journal where he was talking about how much per head for the native people.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's that. That's that old. That was that.
This
Yeah, yeah. That.
so this woke me up.
Yeah.
This ruined my world because
Oh, I see what you're
I
saying.
just
Yeah,
I had no idea. And then I started learning the truth about what really happened to the Native
yeah,
Americans. And I
yeah,
learned about the residential schools. And the last residential school didn't close until the 50s or the 70s in
yeah.
Canada. And
And the same in
oh,
Australia. You know,
and
same
I
happened with.
so now my father's side of the family. My father's from Texas, and I always thought that that side of my family was Mexican.
Where's he from? Texas.
Floresville.
Floresville. Man, that's down
Yeah.
in my neck of the woods, Corpus
Yeah.
Christi. Oh yeah,
Floresville.
Floresville's a little further south. Yeah,
Yeah. It's outside of
Even-
San Antonio. Yeah.
yeah. It's yeah. You're right. It's
I
not as
need to
far.
take a trip there.
Yeah,
But anyway,
I
so
can guide you there. But so he wasn't Mexican.
he's from Texas, and my cousin did some research, and turns out that the family had been there since before it was Texas and before it was Mexico. So it's
So Spanish.
the indigenous people of that land.
Yeah. Well,
So
your background's very similar to mine.
so wait now.
Yeah.
Spanish and indigenous,
Right.
the conqueror and the conquered.
Yeah.
So the person I was speaking to, the eldest granddaughter of a chief, and I'm so sorry I cannot remember the name of the tribe in Canada. And as the eldest granddaughter, her name is Polinique's Love. She's an amazing teacher. She's been awake since she was a teenager and guiding the youth and has done just amazing things. And she teaches, and I plan to bring her to Seattle to teach a class on how to be in right relations with the indigenous. And I had met her when I was studying, or went to sit with Chief Philane Jr. in Monopalaka. I also met Polanix Love. And before I was going on my journey to the Hopi, I had called her because I wanted to be in right relations with the indigenous. And I wanted to acknowledge the protocol and do things correctly. And so I had a 2-hour conversation with her. And when we got into my heritage, and I told her who I was, and then I should also tell on my, all this time while I'm waking up, I would just have like a crystal, a selenite crystal, or my medicine bag with a couple of rocks, and I would set out a red cloth and just put these on the ground in whichever way they spoke to me, and by a river or something, and I'd pick up my rattle. There it is. I'd pick up my rattle, this little rattle, and I don't know how. Again, I'm in like this trance, and I just start moving it in a certain way and turning in a certain way, and I'm calling in all the directions. And so these memories and these things kept coming and coming and coming and coming. And then I find out some stories from my father. He tells me about my grandmother that, I'm going to watch the time here. He remembers as a little boy. He was the youngest of 8, I believe. And he remembers somebody would come to the house to see Mama, and she'd say, "Go out to the tree, go out and play by the tree." And so he'd go out and play by the tree, and they would go inside for a little while. And then he said, after a while, he said this old lady would come out and get him, and she'd say, "Come on, hijo, let's go inside and get some ice cream." And he said, and at first I didn't know who this woman was, but she said the magic words, ice cream, and so I went with her, and we went inside, and as I'm eating my ice cream, her hair was white, and she was older, and as he's eating, she became herself again, his mother, and so she was a healer, and she was taking on things, and so he told me some stories like this, and then so when I told Polonique my heritage, she told me that her people, the grandchildren of those in the residential schools, are seeking healing from those that put them there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's
And
right.
so the whole journey was very, very divinely blessed. But
Yeah,
anyway, I wanted to share that.
that's crazy. These, and then I'm looking at you in the light, and you look just like my aunt, who looks just like my brother, who looks just like his daughter.
It's getting dark here.
Same face, same energy. Uh, my,
Wow.
my hands are opening up. Let's
So
let's
we're
freestyle this. Oh yeah, I feel something happening. So I just want to. I feel like something. I don't normally do this. If I do it, I do it by myself. So I just feel something very ancestral. Um, I feel the presence of many elders, grandmothers. There's a circle of the grandmothers around the fire. Um, I just want to honor them and honor you as you represent them, and many uh, divine goddesses that are carrying sacred wisdom
mm,
from all over the universe, all the planets. But most important in this moment is the indigenous um, that came from the soul to the soul through all the dimensions. And uh,
they're supporting you. the divine feminine is here supporting the divine masculine.
Yeah.
Can you see my hands at all?
Yeah. Yes, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
So the left hand is holding very much the heavy, heavy right hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the left
Exactly.
hand is holding firm,
Yeah.
holding and carrying and supporting the masculine.
Yeah. That's the truth.
And holding space for you to do your healing, because it's true.
Mm-hmm. It's
We're
true.
both, you're healing and we're healing and rising as we're healing.
Yeah.
We're going to rise together, yeah. So the ancestors.
Uh,
There's a lot of pain in the heart, the higher heart here.
yeah.
There's a lot of blocks still.
Yeah.
This is going to help. This clearing, this opening, this is actually clearing the heart space. There's some deep wounding, and actually, my twin and I share a wound. And when we came together in January, we were sitting across from each other, and I was just feeling, because my hands will go to what needs attention
Yeah.
on him, and I felt this part on his right chest, and immediately my other hand was here, and it was like, it was literally, a mirror wound, a wound that hurt us both in the soul.
Yeah.
And they say you even look like each other, and it's funny because like this eyebrow goes up and his right eyebrow goes up. We're like perfect mirror. But
Mm.
anyhow,
Mm.
the ancestors. Can I explain? Can I explain how ancestral trauma is stored in the cells?
Mm-hmm.
I think we need some understanding around that, because people are often saying, just get over it, let it go. It wasn't yours. It's not your story. But here's how we carry it. And here's how I know. So one day I was working with the ancestors, and specifically my grandmothers. And I had a necklace from my one grandmother and a brooch from another grandmother. And like I said, my hands go to what needs to be healed. And I was in my right hip area, which there's a lot of trauma happens in the emotional body and the mental body. And if it's not dealt with, then it comes into the physical body. It will manifest there. Oh gosh, I want to do a whole thing on that and the
We're gonna have
anatomy
to
of the
do it next
spirit. I
time.
know, I
We got to do it
know.
next time.
So I'm working
I
on
d-
my hip, and my hand is in
mm.
there and it's digging around, and I feel my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, and I feel sexual assault, and I had written it down, but I was able to release that. I felt
Yeah.
it, and I was able to release that and clear it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, my hands came up to my throat like this.
Yeah.
And I felt my paternal grandmother, the healer, being silenced and told to never speak of these things again. And I felt a boot on her back.
Mm.
And so
Mm.
again, I was able to clear that. Now, how did I find that in my body? So I'm going to give an example. If you're going for a walk and you see a hose. Gosh, sorry, I just told it wrong.
A
Delete that
hose.
part.
And a hose growing
You're
out of a
going for a
tree.
walk and you see a snake. You see a snake and you're like, you see a snake, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, your body has gone through all of these chemical reactions. Every cell has gone through a chemical reaction as a response to the fear of that snake. And then
Yeah.
you realize it was just a hose or a rope, and it's
Yeah.
nothing to be scared of.
Yeah.
But your body has still undergone that response.
Yeah.
Okay. So just how we have a human aura, each cell has an aura. So this is cellular memory. That's how it's carried in the cells. This is where instinct comes from. So there's ways to get that released from the body through touch, through sound, through light, through prayer. So it doesn't have to be there, but it is carried. It does affect us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like this around the throat, I mean, I've had a huge time speaking my truth,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the divine feminine is going through. And so now
Yeah.
is the time, and I'm seeing 44, now is the time that we are speaking our truth.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. You are. Well, yeah.
They feel good that that was said.
Yeah, and I'm
Do you
reminded.
feel that?
Oh, absolutely. I was reminded that when my journey started, as it built up to the point that I threw down, um, it was six grandmothers that I, at the time, prayed to. Six grandmothers that I prayed to every single day. There were six grandmothers that were in my life and grandmothers of either myself or my children,
Mm.
and all right, this is the way it rolls, man. I love this where we just let it roll.
I've got to show you this since we're talking about grandmothers. This is a blanket I brought back from my father's things. See if you
Mm-hmm.
guys can see it. Can you see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, the little
It's the three grandmothers.
yeah,
Isn't that beautiful?
yeah.
And so that's here in front of my altar.
Well,
All right.
I'm going to um I'm doing one show with Shakina Rose tomorrow, and we're going to do a 9/9 ceremony tomorrow with Zavetta, Teresa LaPre Rivera, and Michael Van Patten. And then I'm probably going to hit the road
Wow.
Monday or Tuesday morning, and I'm going to go find a place for about 10 days. I will be broadcasting, but I'm mostly going to be putting the channel together, or the channel, the first channel, channel one on the
Mm-hmm.
Soulogy network, with footage. Some of it will be yours. And but we
Some
should
beers. Some beers.
no, I said some of it will be. It's that Texas accent, that lazy Texas accent. But no, I said some of it will be yours. Well, there might be some beer involved. Probably
I'll
not.
be
Probably
yours.
actually, it probably won't be because I probably won't be doing too many radio shows. So yeah, maybe I'll hit you up during the weekend. We'll try to get another one in by next weekend and
Okay.
keep this going because it's there's definitely a kindred synergetic. I wanted to say connection, but it's more like a circle to me, like a circle of life. That we're connecting some dots here. So
Yes. Well, we're bridging. We're
yeah,
bridging, right?
uh,
And we're connecting. Like I said, circle connectors.
yeah, uh,
I can I sing you out with a song?
yeah. Send me out with a song.
So this is a song that I hear, and sometimes I have to sing it. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Thank you.
Thank you.
It feels like a call to me. Feels like I was hearing it from the grandmothers. That it was
I
like they
I
were calling me.
I don't doubt that a bit. Laurel Gill says, "Oh my God, I was singing that waiting for the show to start." So we're connecting the dots. It's an honor to serve you.
I think maybe I should start the song, start the thing like that.
Yeah,
Call us all together. Yeah.
it's an honor to serve you and
Thank you.
everyone here, and it's an honor to serve with all of you. And I know that we're just going to continue to expand this pure love vibration because that's what it is. So I'll reach out to you. Thank you everybody for coming in, and we'll be
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah, we'll be on tomorrow, one
Oh,
o'clock.
so if you guys subscribe to my channel, so it's TF Three
Put
Feathers
put
Twin
it on the
Flame
put it
on
in the link.
YouTube.
Yeah,
I'll
put
put
it
it in
on.
the comments.
Yeah, just
But
go and yeah.
yeah, so I do things backwards. Grasshopper medicine is about taking leaps forward and not knowing where you're going to land, and so that's inspirational for the divine feminine is to just go. Just take that leap. Just jump. Just speak your truth. Do what it is you need to do. And 9 times out of 10, chances are it's
or
going to be very
or
favorable.
or jump on a plane and
Yeah.
give up everything you have and jump on a plane and fly from Australia to America for some crazy guy.
Is she
Which
coming? Can she come back?
oh yeah, but I mean I'm talking about the last two times. No, I'm just
Oh,
saying it because that's what she did, you know, and that's
yeah.
what the feminine's doing. The feminine is taking those leaps. So all
It's
right,
for all of us. All of
yeah,
us.
it
Yes.
is.
Faith.
Yeah,
All
so
right, Todd.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
very
Hey,
much.
send me the link to my messenger so I can put it on the network and I can tell people to get to your YouTube, and then I'll subscribe to it and it'll show up on my page. There's a
Yeah,
way
if
to
I
there's
get
a
subscribers, that'll encourage me to make more videos.
yeah. Then I'll give you the two files for the last show and this show. And every time we do a show, I'll give you the file. It'll be editable, and you can either put it on like it is, or you can do what you want with it. All right.
Okay, that sounds great. You're going to send that to me how? Messenger?
Yeah, yeah. I'll just send you the Google Drive link. I've already got one done. I have to upload this one and give you the other one. But I'll have it
Okay.
to you within 24 hours. No
Okay.
problem. All right. You
Sounds
take
great.
care. I'll see you. I enjoyed
Thank
it again.
you.
Thank
Many
you.
blessings to everyone. Thank you, Todd. Much love.
Yes. Thank